My name is Genevieve Kennedy, and in winter of 2022, I got fitted for a night guard by my dentist. I started to wear it and immediately had one or two of my teeth shift on the bottom to the point where I was in a lot of pain, wasn't sleeping well. Went back to my dentist, and when he looked at the night guard and looked at my mouth, he realized there was probably more going on than what he could handle. So he said, "Hey, I know someone in Kansas City. Why don't you consider visiting them?" So I'm a big researcher, and I got online and started digging through who Dr. Raman was, what he does, would it be a good fit for myself? And at that point, honestly, I was in so much chronic pain, I kind of got to the I have nothing to lose point. So I came in, really obviously had the tooth pain from the night guard, had chronic migraines at that point almost every day, a lot of light sensitivity related to the migraines. I had a lot of pain like in my lower lip area, which I now realize was probably my jaw being recessed. A lot of sensitivities. I was avoiding foods, which I think had been happening so steadily I didn't really notice how much I was avoiding. And just kind of a chronic not feeling great. I had a lot of sleep issues, which at the time I think I attributed more to having young children, but now realizing more it was biological also. So it was kind of a double whammy of poor sleep quality, pain, my jaw hurting, and definitely the migraines were a big driving factor to come. Migraines definitely started, especially after my third child, who was born in 2018. So from 2018 to 2022 when I came, it had been building, and I would say building in frequency and intensity. So my husband's military, and we move every couple of years, and we have 3 boys. They are all elementary age right now. So moving into Kansas City, I think during the moving seasons that we have and the cycles we have, I tend to kind of shelf my own medical needs, and this was one that finally got so big I needed to deal with it, and it was the right time and the right place. I think what made the most sense was looking at root causes versus just treating symptoms. I had a lot of doctors in the past where I would go into physical therapy or see a doctor, and eventually I typically got pushed over to the doctors who do pain management. And so I would get short-term fixes, but long-term my health wasn't great. And I think for a lot of years, I just managed it and thought that was just how I was gonna feel. So coming in here was really nice to be able to talk about what was happening and maybe like addressing the deeper core issues happening. After I met Dr. Raman and he had a chance to look in my mouth and see what was happening and kind of look at the anatomy especially, I went back home and also did research on what were surgical options, what were non-surgical, and I think what really concerned me was the rate at which surgeries either didn't last well or people needed additional surgeries down the road. And I felt deeply that like if I was going to address this, I wanted to do it right the first time and not have chronic issues lingering as I progressed in age. So when I sat down and looked at it, I felt like I wanted to do the option that felt like the best chance at having a good overall like health and success rate. So when we started, to think back, in 2022, we started with an orthodontic, which lowered my lower jaw and put it into a correct position. So basically fake teeth that made everything taller on the bottom, and then braces on the top, which helped open my palate and restore the arch basically that had been collapsing. And it was pretty incredible to see how much my arch had collapsed, especially how wide the expander could go in my mouth. And then later we had braces also on the bottom to address some of the crowding issues, to bring them forward, open up room for my tongue. One of the most surprising things I think in this journey was getting referred over to speech therapy as an adult. I have special needs kids who do speech therapy, so I'm very familiar with the pediatric world. But going in as an adult and learning, I wasn't chewing correctly, I wasn't holding my tongue correctly, my tongue had lost strength even, mobility. That was all incredibly eye-opening, and learning how to do basic functions like chewing again as an adult with a new space in my mouth was frustrating and awesome, and it's been a really neat journey to have. I'm trying to think, after braces came off, then we held everything with a retainer while, I'm trying to remember,
That tongue function.
Oh, the tongue, yeah. So we were really waiting on the speech therapy piece, and then once that tongue function was there, and nighttime breathing was better with holding my mouth correctly in its posture with taping, then doing the mouth restoration. So I think the biggest one has been headaches. I don't have them nearly as often. I'm not thinking about whether I have pain medicine in my bag with me when I leave my house. When I do have headaches, they're often easily correlated to allergies and weather outside. So when I do get a headache now, it's much more easy to go, I can understand why I'm having one versus chronic all the time. I joke that I used to eat ibuprofen like candy. So that's been a huge difference to not have the chronic need. I've also been really excited to not need to go on like migraine medicine. So headaches were big. Also, one of my favorite ones has been posture. I felt like I had a very scoop neck before that. No matter how much I tried to sit straight and have good posture, it just anatomically didn't feel great. Since then, I've noticed even things like weightlifting have felt easier because the whole like power chain of the head and the neck and the spine have all worked together better. So that's been really fun to see.
You're also a runner.
I'm a runner. Breathing has felt easier. I think my gait has become more natural now as the spine and posture alignment works better. So it's nice to know that those are going to be pieces of me still. And I think after I had kids, I just attributed my body changing with having kids to not being able to run anymore and not realizing how much the health of this area of my body was affecting everything under it. I think my family would fairly say my disposition is a lot better. I dealt with a lot of chronic fatigue from the pain management, I think. And I think overall, I'm just more optimistic, less kind of pulled into myself because I'm not hurting the same way. So I think quality of life with my whole family is really improved. I'm not thinking about my jaw. I'm not trying to make it through the end of the day. I think a lot of times before coming to you, about 5 to 6 p.m. was just a really horrible time of day for me. And it's also the time of day when your family needs you the most as a mom with young kids. So that alone has been just like a fantastic improvement. It does, yeah. I think he has a release now that he knows when he's traveling, he's not worried about how I'm feeling. I, for a lot of years, would put up with and push through pain because I had to be the single parent for weeks sometimes. And now I feel comfortable saying, no big deal, we've got this. Whereas before I had it, but it was always to the detriment of myself. I would not. The cost was a huge consideration, but we talked about it privately as a family, and we also talked with my parents about it when we looked at interest rates at banks and we looked at loans. We talked about it with my family, knowing that we could possibly borrow against them. And my parents were incredibly generous and said that they would do a portion of my inheritance early. They thankfully were of the mindset that this was an investment for my lifetime health, and that I agreed with them that I need the health now versus dollars later in life. And so for me personally, I would do it again, knowing that this is a quality of life thing that I really wouldn't put a price tag on. Thank you.